So a Hitachi EVR player, which is electronic video recording. These were made in about 1970 to 71, and the system probably lasted until about 1976, because I have a cassette dated at the end, copyright by the BBC, which is 1976. So that's the first machine I got, and that's the second machine, which came a few weeks later, which is typical. You can't find one for years, and then two come along almost together. Right, so here is the general collection of film. There's, I think, 37 black and white films, which are mainly TV programs, and then 20 colour cassettes now. And believe me, they've been incredibly difficult to get hold of. They've come from just about anywhere and everywhere. The only thing I have to make sure is that they say they're the PAL or 50 Hz system, because this is the UK one. There is an American one, and that'd say 60 Hz. And I can't quite imagine what 60 Hz would do in this player. I think it'd give something, but probably not very good. So I've never seen one, so haven't been able to try it. So right, if we start with a black and white film, that's got two lots of 30 minutes on it, in this case Star Soccer, and the actual film, that's the size of it. This is a bit I rescued out of a machine when I was restoring them, so that's just over 8 mils wide. And if you blow it up massively, the soccer game, you've got 30 minutes with one part of the game on, then you rewind it and play the other half, and then they each have a soundtrack there and there, and a sync mark there. Right, and then when you come to play, you turn it on, open the lid and put it in, and then shut the lid. And then I have to admit, it does pay to watch it lace, so I usually lift the lid off. Then you just press play, it comes through, the take-up spool should grab it, there we go. And then on the telly, and then actually if I shut the lid, because we get hum bars on it,
The side effects of the sensational Derby County story still makes a talking point for Forest fans. They've lost manager Dave Mackay to Derby, and Brian Clough is the hot tip to come here. If he does, this is the side he'll inherit. They're sixth in the table and unbeaten at home if you discount the League Cup replay disaster against Millwall. Jim Barron returns in goal, having been injured at Blackpool, and this formation has been fairly regular, apart from Ian Bowyer, recently arrived from Orient, who is now establishing himself in the side. After scoring in his first game at Blackpool, he wasn't able to find the target in his second appearance for Chico Hamilton.
Now the way to switch sides on this system, you've got an A-B switch, so we're on the first side A, and you can just, whilst it's playing side A, if I throw the switch, we can just go on to the other side, side B. So that's the slightly quirky thing about it. Or back to the A again.
Evans back for Nickel. Kane forward.
You can also freeze frame it,
Evans keeping off.
so, and then you can turn a knob and advance it, so, or if you press the still button again, then off it goes.
Little couldn't get there. Aitken does. Little, that's a good.
So that's the black and white side of it. Right, so the next is colour. Now colour's only 30 minutes long, and a piece of blown up colour film, which is actually printed on black and white film, which is the thing that always fascinated me about this format. One half of the film has the picture, the luminant side, and the other half of the picture has a pattern which is decoded and laid over the black and white content to form the colour. So as long as you've got the circuits adjusted right, you've always got the correct colours on the film. Right, so this is a colour one, the Bahama 500, and this is a second EVR machine I've got. I've done them both up about the same time, so I tend to share the work between them because they both perform fairly identically. So I get this playing in this one. Right, the sound does vary a touch on some of these, I do admit, so... Let's get the lights off, there we go.
The International Bahama 500 Powerboat Race, the world's fastest, richest, and most grueling powerboat race in the world. 530 nautical miles of race course, the navigator's nightmare as well as the competitor's headache. $92,000 in prizes for the world's most celebrated drivers. And congratulations to you, Odell Lewis.
So in this case you just get 30 minutes of program time rather than the hour with the black and white.
Some insight on the event from the champion, Odell Lewis. The story begins on the drawing board. Odell, from the drawing board to the finished product, the driver is pretty well responsible for his own project.
Yes, a fella has to follow his own boat and help build it up and make sure that it's put together properly.
For man and his boat. And let's do some testing now, Odell Lewis. And just what do you look for in these many test runs that you make?
Well, we try to make sure that we've got all the bugs out of the engines before we ever start to race them. It pays off a lot better than taking something that's not proven out on the course.
Do you try to prevent too many hours on an engine in testing it for a race?
We'll take one engine or so before the race and put a lot of hours on it and see how it holds up. But the engines we run, we don't run them too awfully long.
And it looks like it's pretty good training for the driver to get in condition for the grueling sea, too.
Right, plus he learns and knows a little something about the engine that he's running.
And here's one of your chief competition.
Yeah, Bill Steroy. He's a great driver.
Careful ride to Lucaya for a very fast ride around the islands. And I guess there are experts in the packing department too.
Oh yes, we have a group of people that go down and make sure that the boats are loaded properly and they don't damage them in any way.
Oh, Del Lewis, the quality of the boats and engines improve every year.
Absolutely.
Arriving at Lucaya, which will be the home arena for the start of the race, and you get ready for the final preparation at race site. But still, you must be careful in transporting these valuable machines. How many months, Odell Lewis, does it take to prepare for one big one like the 500?
Oh, well, you would work 6 or 8 weeks getting your boats ready and transported over there.
Right, so next there's a colour film. So as each one's only half hour, it comes in 3 parts. So that's part 1, and then you've got part 2 and part 3. So I'm going to play part 1. Let's turn the volume up a bit, if I can find it.
Major, what? Let me have a light gun to support us in the subway. You see, that subway goes right by the Reichs Chancellery building.
You want to take Hitler prisoner, is that it?
You never could tell. It's worth a try.
All right.
Thank you, Comrade Major.
Get that gun in the subway, quick! And you, take command here.
Come on, get moving. Hurry up. Forward!
Right, and then for servicing and setting these up, that is a test film, so I'm going to play some of that. Right, so you've got basic things like a crosshatch. So right, and then you've got a grayscale. Right, and then you've got the resolution pattern, so they just about do 400 lines. Right, so the basic part of the film is you've got an audio head, which I don't want to stick my finger in there because there's a lot of voltage, but I'm right above the audio head. Then you've got a curved gate and the optical where it picks up onto what they call photo multiplier tubes. That's one, the top of one, they cover it because there's high voltage on there, and the other. Then it goes between a large diameter capstan and pinch roller, and then onto another roller and onto the take-up spool. And it is absolutely the same principle as what they call a flying spot telecine. So it's continuous motion. The film isn't stepped like a film projector, it just runs through at the same speed continuously, and also it's fed into the system, which is unusual, by the supply spool. It's not dragged through the system, it's fed into it, and then the take-up spool takes it out the system. So, and then I'm going to take the cover off in a minute. That's the CRT tube that creates a flying scanning spot. So, and these are very sensitive to the 50 Hertz lights. You can see the massive hum bars going through it that are being picked up by the lights in the room. So that's why I have to keep covering it. Right, so it's still playing, so if I just press stop now, the sound head pulls back, so you don't wear it out and fast forward and rewind. So if I press play again, if I can find it, and off it all goes again. But say surprisingly reliable, that's all I can say. These have been quite amazing. The main thing I had to do was make all new rubber parts for them, but the actual circuitry has been superb. So right, so if I make it run, that's what creates a flying spot, a very bright tube but very well focused. If you put it into freeze frame, the size of the raster reduces for the still frame, and then when you make it play again, it grows back to its full size. And of course, to save the tube, when you turn it off, it goes out. Right, these are just a few beginnings of some of the black and white ones, which are UK, mainly ITV actually, comedies, so
all thrown out. I've had a shocking day today.
Noted, sir. I'll send him a piece. Job gets more dangerous all the time. I think it calls for a rise in pay. Either you double my cut or count me out.
Right, this is just another sporty thing, so they also come colour ones with a blue label as well, just for interest. So
your host and another in a series of sports action films brought to you by Lincoln Mercury, the automobile people that realize the importance of a competitive edge, whether it's in the design of their cars or in the thrill of a downhill race. I'm all packed and ready for a trip from California to France in the Winter Olympics, in search of winter sports competition at its finest. Care to join me? In this competitive world, there is an ever-growing number of winter sports fans who spend years developing their skills to where they can claim the competitive edge.